Okay, perfect. It's 10:01 my time, so we can go ahead and kick it off. Thanks everybody so much for joining us. If you were not here last time, this is part two of playing through your career change, highly focused on making networking more fun and less daunting. And there's no one better to lead us through this workshop than Laurie herself. She is an expert at making networking less daunting. So super excited to have her for the second session focused on wait, that counts as networking. So doing all the things that you're probably already doing and enhancing them to better your networking. So yeah, we're super excited to have all of you. And Laurie, thank you again. Feel like I said this already, but last session I learned so much. So I'm excited to take away some of these takeaways from this one as well.
Well, Natalie, thank you for the opportunity to talk about something that I love so much. You're probably all, I'm standing right now. You're going to see me moving around this frame because I'm going to get so excited because I love this so much. And I hold space for you that networking might be wretched. It's okay. All of this can be true. And what we're really going to talk about today is the things you probably are already doing or might feel very accessible to start doing that help you network. Apparently from my mouth in the first session, Natalie captured this quote, or maybe it was Michael, my quote catcher. I said something like, networking is doing things that feel accessible to you that increase your number of contacts. And I want to bring that forward into everybody's mind right now, because I know a lot of you have this idea that networking is standing in the middle of the schmoozy room and getting business cards. It can be, it doesn't have to be. So some of you have heard this before, but I remember the day as a teenager in the mid-90s when I learned the word networking, and I felt so validated. I felt so validated that this thing that I like to do, which is hang out and get to know people, had a real name, and it was presented in class like it had value. And I just want to honor, do any of you watch Bluey? Do any of you have little kids and watch Bluey? The most brilliant Australian cartoon, maybe cartoon, not even qualifying it to Australia, that has ever existed in the history of the world. Watch the episode when they're drawing as a family and they're going on an adventure with a dragon. Because what happened when I was a teenager was this thing that I had an affinity for. An authority figure in my life said, Laurie, you're good at that. For a 16-year-old, you're exceptional at that. Here's a couple things you could try to do more of. And how this shows up in the Bluey episode is that Bandit, the dad, draws a horse that his kid is like, Dad, is that a donkey? And he's like, no, it's a horse. It's a stick horse, with stick legs. And the mom, Chili, comes in and draws this like pretty horse. The dad got picked on for not being good at drawing. The mom got told she was pretty good for a 7-year-old. And so what I really want to open up today is there are things that all of you are doing, I solemnly swear, that count as networking. And there are things that are right on the edge of what you're doing that might be very accessible and low stress for you to start doing. So I'm going to have you all do a little poll. This is going to be painless, I promise. And Natalie, I'd love to share responses if I don't have screen sharing.
Yeah, let me actually make you a host.
Okay. And as you're typing in, I welcome everyone who doesn't feel comfortable coming off of camera and off of mute to chat me. And I will regularly, with no shame, pause to read the chat and take those questions. You can chat just to me or to the whole group. I won't call you out unless you give me permission to do that. All right, responses are starting to come in. I'm going to share. So this first rectangle you can see is where people land on how much they love networking. And I will let responses come in, and then we'll look at the things that you're doing. And as you have submitted your response, if you click on the submit another response thing or just open the window up again, excuse me, we're going to talk about all of the things on that list, and it might be helpful for you to have them as a visual. And Natalie, I'm going to ask you to help me to remember to save the chat, because I think so many nice things came out of this after the first one.
Yeah, I have it recorded now, so I will be able to send it to you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So nobody at 9 or a 10. So curious. For the record, I would pick 10. And I know I'm an extreme case. So we can kind of see everything all on one screen if you have the aspect ratio that I do. Ilana, thank you. I see you. I hold your awesome networkingness. Gregor, thank you. That was the whole point of this poll. I wanted you to see a bunch of things that you might not have considered to be networking. That is, in fact, the entire point of this whole session. And I love seeing that people are putting in extra ones. Panel at Industry Forum, that's fantastic. So a bunch of you doing a bunch of things. What's the one I see? Asking people I know to introduce me. I'm going to have to, you all kind of see the spread of this. I'm going to stop sharing. So go back to that list, either open up the window again or look at it. And I want to just look here. So you all, a bunch of you said asking people you know to introduce you to somebody else. That feels like a pretty straightforward one. And in the last session, we talked about using the magic formula. Does everybody remember what the magic formula is? Or can we review that? If you are doing this written or verbal, it doesn't matter. It's a little bit easier to keep track of this in the written version. I'm going to pause for a second and actually find the magic formula, because my past self put it in a Google form. This is the magic formula generator. If you do this, it will email you your responses so that you can have them for when you write your LinkedIn or your email or whatever you're doing. But the point of the magic formula, again, is, do a light amount of research. You don't have to go creepy stalker, but know who you're writing to. Find something genuinely that you connect with that person on. Magic formula has 3 parts. First part is, I admire that you did or do fill in the blank. Part 2 is your connection to that thing. Part 3 is very clearly what you are asking for. And I want to pause just for a second on part 3. A lot of us have been cultured to hit adjacent when we are asking. What I mean by hitting adjacent is I do a lot of introduction requests. Here's another form for you. If I'm connected, by the way, we should all be first contacts on LinkedIn. Go to my LinkedIn, don't follow me, ask to connect. If I'm first contacts with somebody who you want to talk to, ask me for an introduction. And the introduction form is written to bring the magic formula out of you. And I want to be clear about hitting adjacent. If your third part, if your ask doesn't have a question mark at the end of it, it is not a direct hit. If it has a period, try again. I want to give you an example of this. I am raising Minnesotan children's, AKA South Canada. The whole culture here is hit adjacent. And so when they want something, they say, hey, I noticed that there were 3 Oreos left in the package, and I would like to point out that I have eaten a good dinner. I wait for the question mark. I don't answer things that don't have question marks. Anybody want to be brave? What's the hitting direct version of the Oreo request? Be brave and come off mute. What's a direct hit?
May I please have an Oreo?
Thank you. Thank you. Use the magic formula and ask for the Oreo. You can be kind in your direct. The may I please is a wonderful way to start. So your direct hit should sound something like, I'm looking for a job. Do you have an opening? Want to talk about that? Or I am a really skilled operator who is looking for a job. Do you or anyone you know need someone? Are you hiring anyone? Do any of your friends need this? I can't tell you how many intro requests that I get that just say, hey, want to chat? Don't do it. Don't do it. Resist the temptation. It is okay to hit direct. Kay Habab, what's your actual name? You were eating lunch, breakfast. Go ahead. Accidental hand raise? Unclear.
And you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Yeah. Go ahead and interrupt me if you're having technical challenges. I hold space for your question. Okay, so that was the easy one. I feel like this is a fairly obvious one. You all know that you're supposed to be asking people for introduction. Oh,
sorry, so many technical challenges. I had no idea. Like I heard you, but I didn't know where the window was. Anyway.
Gotcha. Friend, what is your name? Help me say it.
My name is Habab, so the K is
Habab.
in my name.
Nice to
I
meet you.
just want to ask you a question because there's a lot of advice out there that you should never ask for a job. You should always ask for advice. Can you give me some advice? I'm with you because it's like somebody's like, look, when I was working and somebody was like, can you give me some advice? I'd be like, dude, I don't have time for that right now because I got
ding,
some
ding,
work.
ding, ding, ding.
So what is it? How do you answer that if somebody says, never ask for a job, always ask for advice? How would you answer? Like, how would you, Laurie, answer that?
I'm going to answer the larger global question.
Okay.
There's a lot of advice out there. Holy moly, there's a lot of advice out there. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Okay.
In your experience, if somebody was bugging you trying to get advice or trying to grab a virtual cup of coffee and you thought that was irritating, don't behave like that.
Okay.
And people are different. People are different, right? I'm a very extreme kind of person. I'm a gregarious extrovert who feels most at home with 30,000 heartbeats in very close proximity to mine and a lot of noise. I love that. Not everybody loves that. So a little bit is kind of figure out who you're talking to. So I am a big fan of hitting adjacent. And the phrase that I always say is, Kebab, I am not here to make friends. I am here to change the world. If I offend you because I come in clear and ask, please, may I have the 3 Oreos that are in the package? And if that turns you off, I am not a good employee candidate for you. That's not going to go well. I would really personally struggle to work with somebody who needed me to hit adjacent during the tenure of my work with them. And so know who you are. What feels right for you when asking for the introduction that actually gets you what you want? Because you're asking for introductions because you want something. How do you ask?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do kind of like that because there's so much advice out there, like never, ever, ever ask for a job. And you're like literally the first person that's saying, no, you need to ask, put a question mark. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Because that sounds like that resonates with me versus all the other stuff, which is like, don't ask for a job. It's like, okay, what then? Like what? You're asking to annoy them? I don't know.
And that's the thing is know who you are, know who you
Mhm.
work really well with. Do you work really well with other people who are direct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I
Absolutely.
would lovingly invite you to be yourself.
Okay.
Know who you are. And on the flip side of that coin, ooh, firecrackers. Whoever that is not on mute.
Oh, that's just,
Oh,
sorry,
is that
that's my
you?
wife.
Gotcha.
That's my wife. Sorry.
Let's do some firecrackers.
I
Um,
know.
on the other side of that coin, if it makes your toes curl up to make the direct ask for the Oreos, and you work better in an environment that is less direct, and you don't want to work around direct people because it increases your blood pressure, know who you are. Know who you are. If you don't want to work with a very, very direct boss, maybe throw my tips and tricks advice out, get rid of it. Direct hit means different things for different people. My direct hit's going to give you a bloody nose. Watch out.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Pausing to read. Let's talk about this, the LinkedIn chat stuff. Sophia, if you're willing to come off mute, I'd love to talk about your experience with this.
Sure. I was leading the career office of a university in my previous job. So, and also I was interviewer at Procter and Gamble. So I have quite a lot of expertise in interview processes and talent funnels in different industries. And I've seen it consistently that large companies, it's really a LinkedIn chat, like it's just not helping you get in the funnel because it's automatized anyway. So, other people who are not in the funnel will not have a say. One other thing can be the referral. So many large companies have referral systems. So you can ask for a referral to an employee. So you get into the funnel via referral that can help. But yeah, large companies, mid-process, asking someone to do something will not get you anywhere. However, there I get the point of asking for advice. So their advice can be handy of like what to focus on in terms of, what topics to bring up on the interview, how to better prepare for the interviews, how to, what to read. There's so many information out there on the company pages and on the interviewers themselves that you can, have the right answers throughout the interview. But having said that, for smaller companies, it does make a big difference if you go to anyone and ask for a referral because there the processes are not carved into stone. So there you can get ahead. So in that, I would say that it's not one size fits all. It's a very different story for large companies and for small companies.
Now, Sophia, I just told you that I'm a very direct person and I see an opportunity here for everybody in the room. If you don't want to go down this road, tell me right now, I can handle it. You know about the magic behind the bot chat thing. How do you get through that?
Keywords. So simply learn the buzzwords that the company uses and use those buzzwords. But that stands for the interview as well. So every company has a lingo. Use that lingo so you feel already like you're part of the camp there.
Thank you. That was gold. Did everybody catch that? When you look at the form, that's the magic formula. I hope my past self remembered to put that in there. The reason you're doing light research on who you want to talk to is you want to use their words back at them. I'm going to say that one more time for emphasis.
There's also some bullshit out there that, put them in white letters into your CV so the bot will pick it up. No, that's shit. Like, have it in the black normal letters, the words that they want to hear, and then that will do the job.
Yeah, thank you. That was gold. If anybody's going for a big job that has an AI barrier to get through, that is excellent advice. Now, not everybody's going for a job at Procter & Gamble. If you're going with a smaller company, just like Sophia said, if you're going for a smaller company, network into it. If there's only 100 people in the company, you probably only got to find one of them. Now, let's talk about how to network in. I'm going to go back to that list. So everybody open up that survey that I had you all take. Let's look at some of the other things in there. How about posting in DMs? Commenting, posting, tagging people. Anybody who feels like that is the worst, terrible, most awful idea in the world, will you let me know either in the chat or by coming off mic? If it makes your toes curl up.
How do you do that without it being noise?
Jeff, thank you so much for being brave. What's at stake if it's noise?
Oh, nothing, but it's just how to be an efficient use of your time, I guess.
Is the efficiency of your time the most important thing?
For me at this moment, absolutely.
So let's talk about effective mentioning, commenting, tagging. So I know, Jeff, a little bit about what you're doing, super nerd stuff. Everybody see the nerd stuff behind Jeff? So his company is doing nerd stuff. So if you're posting on something that you know a lot about, nerds tend to have really deep knowledge. And there's somebody out there who you admire, who you would like to invest in you, or maybe partner with you, or come work with you, or who, I don't know, has putted first and you want their advice. If you write some of your nerd stuff that's deep dive content and you tag people who are also into that, is that noise? For the record, I am very transparent about who I am and what I love. I love getting tagged. It makes LinkedIn so much more interesting. Otherwise, the algorithm is just serving me content that's not super relevant. Emma, did you have something to say? Or did you accidentally go off mute? Okay.
I have something to say.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So what I had to say was that I have a friend who I tag when I think there's something that I think she should really know about. And she told me that it was really annoying, but thank you, because it helps her get into LinkedIn and see things that she should have known about to begin with, even though it annoyed her that I tagged her. Just a aside about that.
And I see another comment in here about Melinda. You say people do this to you all the time. Could you help us understand, of the very, very, very few, how is it done in a way that engages you?
I think it's only if I know somebody and they know deeply what I care about, what I'm interested in, and they're asking for advice rather than for it just feels like a lot of it is just tagging. It's just kind of I'm going to tag these 5 or 10 people and maybe one of them will respond, but it doesn't feel targeted. It doesn't feel like they know me or care about me and how that might make me feel.
Thank you. That is amazing. Did everybody hear that? I am not advocating for, Jeff, excessive, noisy, random tagging. Don't be irritating. You got to know what you're doing. So if everybody wants to do a little bit of a deep dive on Melinda and maybe get brave and try to guess what she might actually be interested in, Melinda, I'm sorry, I hope you don't get spammed.
All good.
It's also, I don't know if any of you have noticed this, it takes almost no effort to block annoying people. It's super easy. If something has happened, for the record, I accept every request to connect on LinkedIn. 100% of them, I accept every single one. And about 2% of those are very, very aggressive salespeople who are selling something I'm just never going to buy. And I'll let them do like 4 or 5 really aggressive things. And I'll even say, yeah, I'm not into what you're doing. And if after that they're still doing it, I'll just block them. Christy, what did you want to say?
So then
And you
on
can,
the other,
hold on one second, Christy. Melinda, you can untag yourself. I was today years old when I learned that.
Yes, you can untag yourself.
You
It's a
are in
beautiful thing.
control of this. Thank you. Thank you. Jeff, does that release you from being worried about the noise a little bit?
A little bit.
And really the bigger issue is here, Melinda, you have amazing boundaries. What a beautiful example. It's my job to ask. And if you're not into that, block me. We're not going to do well together. Thank you for that gift. Christy, go ahead.
Oh, good. I was thinking about the other side of the noise that Jeff was talking about. How do you um not we all know that like annoying influencer that posts about something every single day, you know? How do we not become that while advocating for our voice and being out there?
Okay, so we got to go back to that first question in the poll. How much do you love networking? I loathe it. It's who I am. What you're really asking is, in this question, there is annoying influencer and my child who can't just please ask for the Oreos. And that's a binary, right? If your paradigm and how you look at this as a binary, you can only be one of two extremes. Stretch it out. That's why I gave you a 1 through 10. There is a massive difference between posting 16 times a day and tagging everybody you know and don't even have an account because can't possibly burden anybody by being online. So Christy, I want to ask you back if you're willing to have a back and forth about this. Can you move the needle on what feels right to you and helps you get your wish? Because you're out there doing this because you have a wish. And if you don't ask for
Yeah.
the Oreos, you're never going to get the Oreos.
Yeah, I think for me, the stepping into the uncomfort is not the same compared to making a post every single day about something. But then that's me finding my tribe, which is, I guess, what you were saying earlier about you want to find the people that get along with you because that's who you are.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, I post most days. Some days I'll post like 3 or 4 times. Sometimes I'll go 2 weeks without posting. And I would say half of my posts, none of you see. I can see the stats. None of you see them. And I've just released the fact that this is not 2001 and we don't see our friends post in chronological order like we used to. The AI is serving you stuff it thinks you want, or it's serving you more of what you've engaged in. Whatever can help you release the binary on this and understand there's an incredible, beautiful, multifaceted gradient in between these two things. Just move towards your wish. You don't go all the way to annoying influencer. And thank you for stepping up. Is it Gigi? Did I say that right?
Yeah. Sometimes I go with CC, so either is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for kind of mentioning. I think that's a very important point, is that it's our job to ask and it's the other person's kind of, responsibility to blog or whatever. And I do think that's kind of connected to it's almost like the mindset of feeling comfortable to be rejected. Because a lot of time, at least for me, if I feel that I'm producing some content that end up being, like blocked, that just feels like a rejection. That feels like it's saying that you're not producing something that's relevant. So how do you sort of, I guess, get over that kind of, fear of, I guess, feeling rejected and all that?
Thank you so much for being brave and saying this out loud in group. I think probably many of you connect with this. I'm not even going to ask you to step up and do this because this is a hard thing, right? Like, we are tribal mammals and we evolved to be in tribes, but now we're connected to strangers. And the stranger, oh, there you are. Hi.
Hi.
Strangers aren't going to care for your heart the way your neighbors and your family do. So how do you get through this? I don't know exactly how you specifically get through this, but I have a story about one of the ways I got through it. So I'm Gen X and we didn't grow up taking selfies of ourselves. It is foreign for me to whatever duck face that is. I don't know anything about that. But when my nieces and nephews were tweens, TikTok came out. And I just wanted to hang out with them. I just wanted to be relevant with them. So for the love of these children in my life, I opened up a TikTok account. And I just, through force of exposure, got over it. And the thing about TikTok, I think like a third of it is just mean troll bots. They're not actually humans, but man, are they mean. And for me, it was getting comfortable both blocking and never thinking of that person again. Jacqueline, you'd want to see my duck face? I got something better for you. Pause, time out. We have to do a joke. I call this one, this is a fresh move for all of you aspiring influence out there. I call this one the broken neck cat. How'd I do? You like that? You want more of that? Okay, cool. So both effortlessly blocking and knowing that that mean thing was probably not even a human, or if it was a human, can we just have a moment of love for whatever happened to that person and how awful their existence might be? And knowing that some of your content flops. Not every single post is going to be a bestseller. I have a TikTok that has been viewed 8.5 million times. I have one that's probably been viewed 12 times. And everything in between. That one that got viewed 8.5 million times, why? I don't know. The algorithm decided to promote it that day. The ones that flopped, some of those I actually really loved. I put a lot of time into. So I think what you're asking is, how do I become okay with putting myself out there? Because again, a lot of these things I put on here, commenting, answering comments, tagging people who might be interested in something you write, sliding into DMs, these are very light lifts. They're all written format. You don't have to get on an airplane and go to a room with all the extroverts. You can do this from the comfort of your own home. Whatever helps you feel well so that you can pick some of these will move the needle on your wish. So I want to ask you back, what feels accessible? What feels impossible? And Gigi, if you want to answer that, you're welcome to. And if somebody else wants to, that's cool too. And Gregor, you had your hand raised, and now you see a comment from you. Oh, does everybody see his comment? Gregor, your comment is really about perception. So maybe here's the, if you take one thing away. Here it is. Everybody put your snap face down. If you take one thing away. Your perception of how awful you're being is just that. It's your perception of how awful you're being. I know that my kid thinks it's the right way to ask for the Oreos. You can all see that that is not actually a question. Nor will it result in Oreos if I'm the mommy. Not giving anybody Oreos for that behavior. If the things on this list, let's pick the hardest one. Oh, I mean, I actually put in there going to networking and events and introducing yourself in a way that makes it clear what you're looking for. Did anybody pick that one? Yeah, Ilana, good job. Maya, awesome. Jacqueline, I see a nod. Can I tell you, I went to GreenBiz 2 weeks ago. Can I tell you how I introduced myself to dozens of the executives who work in multinational corporations? Hi, I'm Laurie. I am super fucking magic. And I walk world changers through the fear that prevents them from waking up in their dreams. And then I do what I just did. I just wait. Because it is a litmus test. Only one person walked away out of dozens. And everybody else was like, I just woke up out of the matrix. Who are you? And we had a human to human, Gigi, this is what you're talking about. We evolved to have these heartfelt connections with each other. I got to have a 30-second to 5-minute heartfelt connection with another human, and we shared some humanity, and it was beautiful. If I introduce myself this way, hi, I'm Laurie, and I founded Via Lucent, and I'm enjoying my time here in Scottsdale. Do you want to ask a follow-up question about that? Because I fell asleep just saying it. So what's your version of that, all of you? Going to networking events and introducing yourself in a way that makes it clear what you are looking for. Ask for the Oreo. Everybody take a second and write it down. If you're super brave, put it in the chat. How do you ask for an Oreo in a way that moves the needle on getting one? How do you make it clear who you are, what your unique abilities are, what a gift you are to the person who's looking for you? By the way, I introduce myself that way because I want new clients. And the people who respond positively to that, they're really fun to work with. And I want to work with fun people. This is your homework assignment. Either put it in the chat or think about it and bring it home. Does anybody have thoughts on that before I move on to the next one?
Could you repeat your intro statement one more time, please?
David, I would be happy to. David, I'm going to look at your Zoom eyes, which is why I'm looking down here. I'm Laurie. I am super fucking magic. And I walk world changers through the fear that is preventing them from waking up in their dreams. And I promise you, if you're not into that, I didn't want to talk to you anyway. Now I know. Oh, there's so many good
Laurie,
things in the chat. Yes, go.
actually, I'm curious how you came up with that.
Hold on, I have to find you. Oh, it's Gigi. Hi. How can I know
Hi.
what? My introduction?
Yes.
Oh, you just asked the question. If we were at a party together, I would corner you next to the nachos. We'd be here for an hour and a half. I'll try to be concise. How do I know that? My whole life have been driven to do something huge. And for at least 4 decades, I had no idea what it was. So I just tried a whole bunch of stuff. I changed careers 7 times by the time I was 43. And I've done the work because this is very interesting to me to figure out why I am here in this body at this time on this planet. I had to know. I know now. And because I know, that's my introduction. That is exactly who I'm looking for and exactly what I want to do with that person. And so I might ask you back, not everybody needs to know like this. And if you don't want to know, it's okay. You can just live your life. But if you're curious about this, about why you're here, what is it worth to you to figure out what the answer is?
Yes, that's powerful.
And if you want to explore this, I already put my LinkedIn. DMs are open. I love poking around in this. Anything else on this before I move on to more stuff that's in the chat? Last call.
How long does it take you to get someone to figure out what they're here for, Laurie?
When I'm working, if you hire me one-on-one,
Yeah,
you will know within 3 one-hour sessions.
seems like a great deal.
It's a pretty good deal. Having said that, if you want to figure that out, I've got a resource for you. If what you really want to know is what you're doing on this planet in this body at this time, I can help you do that. It is one of the things that I love the most. Didn't think I'd be putting this one in today. Come find me. Let me tell you what happens when you figure out why you're here. You let go of a whole bunch of things that you're worried about right now. You let go of a whole bunch of messages that people gave you out of love that are not for you. And you step into who you are. And who you are is really, really good. So I want to, Harsh, if we could, the diverse set of people you're connected to on LinkedIn, college friends to 20-year-old company executives, it's hard to see what or how much you need to write. Yeah. Oh, I love this. If you're willing to come off mute, go ahead. And if you're not, that's okay. One of the things, and again, Gigi, this is what you were talking about. I don't want to alienate people. I don't want to let out, do you all have that friend who you just goof off? You're just irreverent and you do dumb shit. And like, I got two friends who I just send dumb shit to all the time. And when we get together, it's just dumb shit. I would not put that on LinkedIn. And thank God I was not a teenager with them and it wasn't documented online. So how do you, if you're everybody who follows you or who you're connected to ranges from the dumb shit friends to the people I really truly admire and have deep respect for, how do you decide who to show up as? And actually this thought is on that same alignment. I know who I am and I know why I'm here and I've let go of the rest. I promise you I would show up this way with my dumb shit friends and with Kamala Harris. Same me. There's one me. I show up this way at home. I show up this way in my neighborhood. This is getting recorded and I don't know who's going to watch it. And I just told you about my dumb shit friends. Like, I've let it go. So I no longer carry the fear and the burden. And this is the big mystery. Okay, this is the second thing. Wake up, put your snap face down. If you carry a fear about how people will perceive you and you're guessing how they will perceive you, this is a perception loop. I perceive that they perceive about me, so I change my behavior. You are the 100% author of the perception loop. It is something your body wants you to engage in because it gives your body the neurochemicals it is addicted to. And probably 3/4 of it is fiction. And so one of the things you can do to try to cut a perception loop is ask yourself, can I actually know what she's thinking? And if you think you might be able to guess, ask a second question. Can you be absolutely sure that that's what she's thinking? I promise you, you can't. And be curious about who you show up as when you think she's thinking that. And here's the other magical question. Who would you be without that thought of what she's thinking of you? It's liberating. So Harsh, think about this with your comment. Who are you not being because of who might see your content? Can you know it's true? Can you absolutely know it's true? And who do you get to be when you let go of the perception that it's true? And just be curious about who that is. I want to be really clear. Don't be Laurie. There's only one of me. Be who you are. Thank God there's only one of me. It'd be a lot. Thank you everybody for commenting and engaging in the chat in such a beautiful way. I can't even keep up with it. Jen, you've said a couple things. Jen, are you from the Midwest?
I'm from the South.
Interesting. I totally would have pegged you as like a Michigander. What if you feel that you're not interesting enough for that kind of intro? And there was another one, which I won't be able to find because you all did such a good job in here. Everybody who is private messaging me, put your email in here. I won't share it with everybody and I will email you my response if I don't get to it. Gigi, that is 100% the work from Byron Katie. Excellent job. It is absolutely the work from, look it up, capital W, the work from Byron Katie. One of the challenges living in my whole life in South Canada, Wisconsin and Minnesota, is that we are actually trained to not brag. If you brag, nobody's going to invite you over for hot dish again. If you take the last cookie, you're done. Seriously, come to Minnesota and take the last cookie. People will freak out. Or even more fun, break it in half and watch what happens. That's what I do. How do you decide you're worthy of getting your wish? And this is your answer is yours on this. I can't tell you how to do this. How do you decide you're worthy of having your wish? I'm going to go out on a limb that every single person on this call and everybody watching it has a big wish. And possibly you might perceive that you are here today and your big wish is right here and there's some sort of abyss in between. The bridge across the abyss or the dissolving of the abyss is you deciding that you're worthy of having that. So the work by Byron Katie, which I'll just paste in here for you, the real questions that she wrote. These are her 4 questions. is really about what am I doing based on how I think they think I am. If you think you're not worthy of a clear and direct introduction, where does that come from? Are you worried about being judged? Are you afraid you might alienate somebody? Somebody going to think you're bragging? Do you want to work with somebody who thinks you're bragging? I don't. Cassie, that's a beautiful quote. Okay. Reset. Laurie got a little fire hosey. Need to check in quick with all of you. Are you learning about ways you can move the needle on your wish that feel accessible? Go back to the first poll that I put in. There was a long list of things, and there were things I'm sure that are there that I didn't put in. Networking is doing what feels accessible that increases your number of connections and helps you have your big wish. Yes, all of you, please put your LinkedIn in. Please all connect with each other. A connected world is a better world. And I'm going to just go through some of these. So we talked about commenting on posts that you're interested in. May that be very easy for all of you. I find that hard to believe that that would be cringy to comment on stuff that other people put up. Asking people you admire questions in their comments. You actually can do that. That's how the platform was written. It's meant for you to comment and ask questions. You're not always going to get an answer, especially if they have a bajillion followers. Sliding into DMs. Is that too hard? Is that accessible? What happens if you get brave and you do that and nobody answers? Is that the hard part about DMs? I DM people all the time and they don't answer because I've done that work of letting go of caring if they answer or not. If you message me, I will answer. I believe in a connected world. Not everybody does, and that's okay. Here's the big one. Maybe let's pause on this one. In the spirit of hitting directly, you have a big wish. Do you write about it? Do you talk about it to your barista when you go to get coffee? Do you tell your neighbor? Do you write about it just for your own consumption? Gregor, are you really a pirate ship operator?
At least feels often enough for that, like that.
Fangirling, amazing. Who do you tell about your wish? Do you know what it is? It does not have to be an elegant sentence. Can you get brave and write it in the chat? I won't share these with everybody afterwards. There's going to be a very stripped down version of the chat that gets shared. What's your big wish? Who do you want to meet, even if you don't know their name? There are, oh, I can't see. Natalie, how many people are on this call?
62.
A lot. 62 people. There's 62 people in this call, including the original Natalie, who is extremely connected. Brandy Roach is in here too. Did everybody see that? Holy network hub, Batman. What's your wish? Make a mess of it. Make it verbose. Let there be spelling errors. Put it in there. Be bold. I'll tell you what mine is. My finish line for my company and the work that I'm doing, I will know I have made it when a head of state hires me to make a transformation. Here's the thing about asking. Most of us don't ask. Most of us don't ask. Dr. Zoe Chance was at Greenbiz, and I posted recently, you can go look to my LinkedIn to find actually what minute it starts because it's a big long video. She's an expert in how how to get people to do what you want them to do, to say it in a crude way. And one of the things that stuck out from her talk is people are 2 to 3 times more likely to say yes than you think they will be. So you might talk yourself out of asking. And there's a couple of examples of this in here. You might talk yourself out of asking because you think they'll say no, and they're 2 to 3 times more likely to say yes than you think they might be. So maybe if you're going to do the Byron Katie work, can you let go of hearing nothing or getting a no so that you feel better about asking more? What will it take to let go of hearing nothing or hearing a no so that you're liberated to ask more? I love seeing all of the wishes in here, and I promise you I'm going to read every single one. And if I can help you, I will. Does anybody have questions about this asking and hearing crickets or getting no's? Is that an actual barrier for you? Anybody want to be brave and dissolve their barrier right now? This is literally all I do.
Yeah, I'm a chronic adjacent asker.
Cassie, how's that working out for you, buddy?
It's not. And the conditioning is having been in organizations where that's what's preferred. And when I'm really naturally direct, I've been penalized for that. So getting around that trauma is pretty challenging.
Cassie, I want to thank you profoundly for daylighting this. I think probably most of the people in here connect with this at some level. So, and I want to be really clear about what I heard. You know naturally that you're more direct than you're showing up as, but you showed up as your authentic self, and some people didn't enjoy that. Accurate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that was even something that turned to be quite uncomfortable, or there might have been punishments that came with that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing about the perception loop. We live in mammals, and your mammal and my mammal was designed by extreme survivalists. I can only go 2 generations in my family before more than half the babies died. I bet you nobody in here can go more than 10. We are the product of about 10,000 generations of evolution of human-like creatures. That is a blip. Your body and my body, Cassie, they are extremely efficient at remembering the bad stuff and keeping us away from the bad stuff. So all of you, whatever negative memory you have or negative repercussion that you experienced, or you showed up direct and you got your hand slapped or whatever it was, your body is not going to let you go into a situation that feels too much like that. So it could be something about the setting. It could be something about the tone of voice. It could be something about an argument starting. It could be whatever it is. Your body is going to be like, oh, we remember that one from 1989. Get out of there. And here's the thing about becoming consciously aware. Unless you're consciously aware of your mammal doing this for you, you are bound to live the life of an extreme survivalist. And an extreme survivalist, go look at the list on the poll again, doesn't want you doing those things. Especially if you've done them and it didn't go well. So really the thought that I might have for you, Cassie, is, can you be aware? That's not the right question. How can you become aware when you're showing up as the modified version of you who asks adjacent? And can you do what needs to be done to stop it? Does that feel accessible?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So I want to be really clear. Step 1, becoming aware of it, is a massive victory, Olympic level effort. It's really hard to catch. by the time you're 35, and Cassie, someday you will be 35.
I hope so.
Your body is auto-categorizing 95% of the stimuli that you receive in a day. It's really hard to catch stuff. So just congratulate yourself for catching it every time you do. That's step one. Step two is soothing yourself so that you have the ability to be curious about it and be an observer of your behavior. And this is hot off the press. I hope the form works. I tested it once. Tell me if it doesn't. This is a breath that I give people for step two. Step one, catch it. Step two, soothe yourself. This is a breath where you trace and breathe. You inhale slowly, you trace back down to your palm. You inhale slowly, you trace back down to your palm. What you're doing with this is you're saying to that mammal that you live in that was designed by extreme survivalists, there's no life or death threat here. We can be creative about this, and this brings you back into creativity. And then step three, Cassie, can you revive the garden of your formerly direct self? You do some weeding and maybe get a little fertilizer. See if you can find some seeds, because it's in you. It never goes away. This will help you find her again. Does that feel accessible?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Here's my challenge for all of you. Whatever you picked on that list on the poll that I put in on the first try, that feels like a little smidge bit of a stretch, like it's a little, ooh, my toes are a little. Can you look at it? Write the draft, do the breath, and see how you feel. You don't have to post it. Just see how you feel. Notice what changes. Notice what this gives you access to. Thank you, Cassie, for being brave.
Thank you, Laurie.
I want to say the next of the series that Natalie and I are doing, number 3 out of 4, is specifically for the introverts and the introvert adjacent. If talking to people, if introducing yourself the way I did at Green Biz is 100% for real off the table, that session is for you. The 4th one is for my extroverts. We're going to take it up a notch. And I want to say, if any of you love this and you want more of this, I hold office hours twice a month. It is $15 a month. There's a 30-day free trial. It is very similar to what we're doing right here. I'm going to put this in the chat. You can play with me twice a month and move the needle on your wish. And a lot of the folks in here are in that group. And they're amazing, and they will help you, and you will help them. Thank you, Michael. Natalie, please don't shut this down before I save it, because I have a lot of direct messages just for me.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So
So
Natalie and I will see you all in a month. If you're the introvert type, if you're super extroverted, maybe third one isn't super interesting for you. If you're super introverted, maybe 4th one's not super interesting for you. It's up to you. And if you're an ambivert, hit them both, Maya. Hit them both. You'll learn something from both of them. And if you're an introvert, you can totally come to the extrovert one. It doesn't matter. Thank you, all of you. Go close the gap on your wish. You are not here to make friends. You're here to change the world. We need you.
awesome. Perfect. Keep your eyes peeled for a follow-up email later today, where I'll include all the forms, resources, all the good stuff Laurie shared, and then a recording. And then, yeah, that next session is March 26th at 12 Eastern. So same link you register for this one, you can register for that one. So thanks again, Laurie. Again, I can't say it enough, but I appreciate you so much. I learned a lot.
Thank you for setting this up, Natalie. I really appreciate the forum.